Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you. Before I tell you this, here's the point of it, because I wish someone had drilled this into my head years earlier. Respect doesn't vanish in one big explosion. It leaks out in little moments. The cold tone, the rehearsed accusations, the way your normal concern gets reframed as control. And if you respond by pleading, explaining, or chasing closeness, you don't fix it, you fund it. This story is about catching the early signals, staying calm, and making adult moves that protect your name, your peace, and your future. Not with drama, not with threats, with clarity. And once you see the real motive behind the behavior, you stop arguing about feelings and start dealing with facts. That rainy Tuesday night started with a sink full of dishes and a woman standing like a locked door. Lauren was at the kitchen sink, shoulders tight, arms crossed, staring at nothing. The window above her was streaked with rain. The house felt quiet in that way that isn't peaceful. It's just empty. I was making dinner. Nothing fancy, just chicken and rice, because that's what I do. Routine keeps life moving. I set a plate down, walked over, and lightly touched her forearm. "You've barely said a word all day," I told her. "You okay?" She didn't turn. "Stomach hurts." Short, flat, like she was reading it off a cue card. "All right," I replied. "Is it serious? You want to get checked out?" I said I'm fine. I watched her reflection in the dark window. No eye contact, no words, just that stone face. "Lauren," I added, "you've been distant all week. If something's going on, tell me." She finally turned, and her eyes had that annoyed, sharpened look like I'd interrupted something important. "Not everything is about you," she snapped. I blinked once. "That's not what I—" "Stop interrogating me," she cut in. "It's exhausting." "Interrogating?" I repeated like the word had a bad taste. "I asked if you're okay." She laughed. One of those humorless laughs that's basically a slap. "You always do this. You smother me. You control everything." I leaned back against the counter and kept my voice steady. "Name one thing I controlled today." She threw her hands up. "See? That. You need to litigate every sentence." "I'm a biology teacher," I said. "I'm not litigating. I'm asking for specifics." "God, you're impossible," she muttered. "You control even my feelings." "Istihar." That's not a real sentence. Her mouth tightened. "You don't fit into the version of my life I want right now." That landed clean. Not loud, not dramatic, just cold and direct. I nodded once. "Okay." She looked like she expected me to argue, to chase, to beg for a meeting about it. I didn't. I turned off the stove, slid the pan off the burner, and started putting food into containers. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Eating later." I answered. "You can eat whenever." "That's it," she pressed. "You're just done?" "Ich glänzte her." "I'm not going to share a bed with someone who looks at me like a stranger." She scoffed. "So now you're punishing me." "No, ich correcta." I'm stepping back. There's a difference. I grabbed a pillow from the couch, laid it down, and sat. Calm, quiet, adult. I didn't slam doors. I didn't raise my voice. As I stared at the muted TV screen, one thought parked itself in my head and refused to leave. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have stopped calling it a rough week right there. The next morning, I got up early, showered, shaved, made coffee, and did what I always do when something doesn't add up. I want to solve it. Lauren came down in her robe, hair messy, acting like the night before was a weather event that had passed. She opened the fridge, stared inside like she'd never seen it before, then grabbed orange juice. "You sleep okay?" she asked, too casual. "Fine," I said. "How's your stomach?" She shrugged. "Better." "Good," I replied. "I made you an appointment, just to be safe." Her head snapped up. "What?" I took a sip of coffee. "Doctor. This afternoon." They had a cancellation. Her face went red fast. Not embarrassed. Angry. "Who told you to do that?" she demanded. "Nobody told me." I said. "You said you were in pain." I took it seriously. "You organized my life without asking," she hissed. I set my mug down carefully. "You're my wife. You said your stomach hurt. I used common sense." "No," she shot back. "This is you trying to manage me." I stared at her for a beat. "It's a doctor appointment, not a tracking device." She stepped closer. You act all quiet and reasonable, but you're watching me. You're always watching. You don't trust me." I held her gaze. Trust isn't a magic word. It's behavior. "There it is," she said, pointing like she'd caught me. "The control." I exhaled slowly. "Lauren, if you don't want the appointment, say that." "I don't want you making appointments like I'm a child," she snapped. "Then make your own," I said. "But don't pretend concern is abuse." Her jaw worked like she was chewing on something hard. I kept my tone even. "Let me ask you something directly." She narrowed her eyes. "What? Do you have something to hide?" She froze. Not a dramatic freeze. Not a movie moment. Just a half-second too long of nothing. Like her brain hit a wall. Then she exploded. "You are unbelievable," she shouted, and a pillow from the chair flew across the kitchen and thumped against the wall. She stormed down the hallway, yanked open the front door, and grabbed her keys off the hook. "Where are you going?" I asked, not chasing, just asking. She spun around. "Somewhere I don't have to report my location." "I didn't ask for your location," I replied. "I asked where you're going." She pointed at me like I was the criminal. "Same thing." Then she left, doors slamming, engine starting, tires on wet pavement. And I stood there in my kitchen, listening to the rain, feeling something settle in my chest that wasn't sadness. It was certainty. That wasn't a woman protecting her feelings. That was a woman guarding a secret. For the next few days, Lauren switched into normal mode, like she flipped a light switch and decided the house should pretend. She talked about groceries. She asked what time I'd be home. She watched a show on the couch with her legs tucked under her, like nothing happened. I matched her calm with my calm. But my calm had a spine. We weren't fine. We were suspended. Friday night, we had the barbecue at our friend's place, Kira and Josh Rivers. Good people. Or at least I thought so. We'd known them for years. Cookouts, game nights, birthdays. The normal suburban loop. Lauren spent an hour getting ready. Not nice. Not put together. Too careful. Too bright. Like she was dressing for a different room than the one we were going to. When we walked in, Kira hugged Lauren, then hugged me. "Rain finally quit," Josh said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Man, I thought my grill was going to float away this week." "Charlotte, weather likes to keep you guessing," I replied. Lauren barely acknowledged me once we got inside the yard. She drifted. No, she positioned herself near Josh. Close. Always close. Josh was flipping burgers. Lauren stood beside him, laughing too loud at things that weren't funny. "You're so good at this," she said, touching his forearm like she needed to check his temperature. Josh gave a tight smile. "It's just meat and fire." Lauren leaned in. "Still, not everyone can do it without burning everything." I watched from across the patio, holding a soda I hadn't even opened. Kira was busy setting plates. She didn't see it, or she didn't want to. I walked over and put my arm around Lauren's shoulders. Normal husband move. Familiar. Quiet. She shifted forward immediately. Not a shove. Worse. A clean dodge that left my arm hanging in the air like I'd reached for someone who wasn't mine. I lowered my arm and set it back at my side. Lauren didn't look back. Just kept smiling at Josh. Josh avoided my eyes. That part mattered more than the touch. I stepped closer to the grill and kept my voice casual. "Everything all right over here?" Josh cleared his throat. "Yeah, all good." Lauren cut in, playful but sharp. "Nathan's doing his check-in. He can't help it." I raised an eyebrow. "My what?" She waved me off. "You know, making sure everything's under control." I smiled a little. "Interesting. I thought I was just standing here." Lauren laughed again. "Relax. It's a joke." Kira walked up right then with a tray. "What's a joke?" Lauren's eyes flicked, fast, to Kira. "Nothing. Nathan being Nathan." Kira looked between us, confused. "Okay." Josh turned a burger like his life depended on it. I didn't correct Lauren in front of everyone. Not because I couldn't. Because I didn't need to. I was collecting data. Later, while people were talking near the fire pit, Lauren ended up in a corner of the yard with Josh again, their heads close. When I walked near them, their voices stopped. Lauren turned, a little too quick. "What?" I held my hands up slightly. "I'm getting another drink." She stared at me like I'd walked in on something sacred. "Don't be weird," she said. I nodded. "I won't." I got my drink. I watched. And by the time we drove home, my mind wasn't asking, "What's wrong with my marriage?" It was asking, How long has this been going on? The next Monday, during my planning period at school, I made a call I never thought I'd make. Private investigator. His name was Marcus Dane. Former cop. Quiet voice. Office in an old building over a laundromat downtown. The kind of place that smells like detergent and old paperwork. I met him after work. He shook my hand once, firm, and motioned me into a small office with 2 chairs and a desk that had seen better decades. "You're not the first teacher who walked in here," Marcus said, "but you might be the calmest." "I'm not here to be dramatic," I told him. "I'm here to be accurate." He nodded. "Who are we talking about?" "My wife," I said, "and a man in our circle. Josh Rivers." Marcus didn't react. No judgment, no surprise. Just a pen moving. "What do you want?" he asked. "Facts," I replied. "Timeline. Photos if they exist. Anything legal. No games." He leaned back. "You want me to confirm reality?" "Exactly," I said. "I'm done arguing with vibes." He gave a small grunt that might have been approval. "All right. A week." I left that office feeling strange, like I'd stepped out of my own life and started managing a case file. That night, Lauren tried something new. Soft voice. Warm smile. The version of her that used to mean we're okay. She lit candles in the living room. Candles. In our suburban house. On a Monday. She wore a dress she hadn't worn in years. Not because she was feeling romantic. Because she was trying to rewrite the room. "Hey," she said, stepping close. "Can we reset?" I looked at the candles, then at her. "Reset from what?" She gave a small laugh. "From the tension. You've been so quiet." "I've been peaceful," I corrected. "There's a difference." She reached for my hand. "I don't like when you pull away." I let her fingers touch mine, but I didn't squeeze back. I pull away when I'm being treated like an enemy. Her eyes flashed, then softened again quickly, like she caught herself. "I've been stressed." "You've been hostile," I said, calm as a thermometer. She took a breath. "I am sorry. Okay. I've had stomach issues and you got intense." I pointed at the kitchen. "I scheduled a doctor appointment." "That's not intense." "You made it without asking," she insisted. "And you left the house like I'd committed a crime," I replied. "That's not a normal reaction." She stepped closer, voice sweet. "I just want us. No pressure. Just us." I looked her in the eyes. "You're not offering closeness. You're offering fog." Her smile flickered. "What does that mean?" "It means you're trying to erase reality with candles," I said. She swallowed, then tried a different angle. "Why are you doing this?" "You're acting like I did something." I kept my face steady. "Because something changed. And you won't tell me what." She looked down, then back up, voice smaller. "I don't know how to say everything." I held that silence for a second, then answered with the cleanest truth I had. "You had time." That's the moment her softness stopped being convincing. Later that night, she tried the second version of the same tactic, more physical, more insistent, not explicit, just pushy, like she needed proximity for a purpose. She slid into bed and patted the space next to her. "Come on," she whispered. "I miss you. Let's start over." I stayed in the doorway. "No." Her eyes widened. "No, not while you're hiding something," I said. "I'm not doing performance intimacy." She sat up, annoyed again. "You're impossible." I shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just not available for games." The next day, Marcus texted me. "Got something? Meet tonight." I didn't tell Lauren where I was going. Not as punishment, as policy. Marcus slid a folder across his desk and played audio from his laptop. It was Lauren's voice, nervous, talking in a parking lot near a hospital. Another voice with her, Josh. Lauren said, tight and low, "I'm late." I bought more tests. They're all positive. Josh murmured something I couldn't fully catch. Lauren replied, "No, Nathan doesn't know. And he won't, not yet." My stomach didn't drop. My face didn't change. I just listened. Lauren kept going, voice sharpening into practicality. "I'm putting him down as the father. It's easier. Insurance, paperwork, clean story. Everybody expects it." Josh said, "Are you sure?" Lauren snapped, "Yes. It's the simplest path." Marcus paused the audio and watched me. I nodded once. "Where was this?" "Parking lot by the hospital," Marcus said. "I've got photos too. Them together. Close. Enough to remove doubt." I didn't even look at the photos yet. The audio was the knife. The photos were just the receipt. Marcus spoke carefully. You want me to keep going? No, I said. This is enough. He nodded. What are you doing next? I'm going to confirm paperwork, I replied. Then I'm going to protect myself. I left Marcus's office and drove straight to a clinic the next morning, early before school. At the front desk, I gave my name. The receptionist smiled politely. One moment, Mr. Hall. She clicked around on her screen, then looked up. Congratulations. I didn't smile. Thanks. I'm here to review the file. Sure, she said, casual like she was handing me a menu. You're listed as the father. There it was. Clean. Official. Already typed into someone else's system like it was a fact of nature. A nurse came out and shook my hand. Nathan, the doctor can see you for a quick consult. I followed her into a small room. The doctor walked in cheerful. Mr. Hall, she said, we love involved dads. I sat down slowly. I'm here because I need copies of what's been filed. She tilted her head. Of course, we can print what's available. The folder she handed me had my name in the father slot, black ink on white paper. Not a rumor, not a feeling, a trap with clean handwriting. I thanked them, stood up, and walked out without raising my voice once. In my car, I stared at the documents for a full minute. Then I folded them neatly, put them into a manila envelope, and drove to work. That afternoon, after my last class, I met with an attorney. Not for war, for exit strategy. I laid the envelope down, the audio file, the timeline, the photos Marcus provided. The attorney, middle-aged woman, sharp eyes, flipped through everything and nodded slowly. This is deliberate, she said. Not an accident. Not confusion. I nodded. I want a clean break. No circus. She looked at me over her glasses. Then you need to act before she makes this public. Once a story is out, people cling to it. I know, I said. She's building a narrative. The attorney tapped the folder. You'll protect yourself with documentation and boundaries. Quiet, firm moves. Good, I replied. That's my language. That night, Lauren was sweet again. Too sweet. She made dinner, asked about my day, laughed at my small jokes like she was auditioning for the role of perfect wife. I watched her like a lab specimen. At one point, she leaned in and said, we should get together with everyone again. I miss our friends. There it was. The next step. She wasn't chasing connection. She was chasing witnesses. A few days later, we got invited to another backyard gathering. Same social circle, different house. String lights, music, plastic cups, the usual suburban theater. Lauren wore an outfit that belonged at a fancy dinner, not a backyard. In the car, she rested her hand on my arm like we were fine. You've been so calm lately, she said. I've been clear, I replied. She smiled. I like this version of you. Ich glänzte her. Of course you do. When we arrived, Josh Rivers was there. Kira too. Kira looked tired. Josh looked tense. Lauren looked energized. She floated through the crowd like she owned the script. I didn't drink. I didn't hover. I didn't chase her. I spoke to a couple of guys from the neighborhood, nodded through small talk, and waited. Because I knew what she was going to do. Sure enough, about an hour in, Lauren tapped her glass with a spoon. Okay, she said, voice bright. I want everyone's attention. People turned. Smiles formed. Phones came out. That big announcement, energy. Lauren beamed like she'd been practicing in the mirror. I just want to say, she announced, Nathan is going to be a father. The backyard erupted. Congratulations. No way. That's amazing. Someone clapped me on the back. Another guy raised his cup toward me. A woman squealed and hugged Lauren. Lauren turned toward me, eyes shining, waiting for me to nod, waiting for me to accept the role on camera, waiting for me to become part of her paperwork with a smile. I set my cup down on the table. Then I smiled, small, controlled, and spoke clearly enough for the circle around us to hear. Quick correction, I said. I'm not. The cheering stumbled like a car hitting a pothole. Lauren's smile tightened. Nathan. I held up a hand. Not dramatic, just a boundary. I'm not doing this in whispers anymore, I said, calm as a teacher in a lab. Lauren, you put my name on clinic paperwork without my consent. A few faces changed immediately. Confusion, discomfort, curiosity. Lauren laughed too loudly. What are you talking about? Why would you say that here? Because you chose here, I replied. You made it public, so I'm making it accurate. Josh shifted where he stood. His eyes went down to the grass. Kira looked at Josh, then at Lauren, then at me. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Lauren's voice sharpened. Stop. You're embarrassing me. I tilted my head. You've had no problem embarrassing me for weeks. She stepped closer, low voice. We will talk at home. I met her eyes. No, we'll talk in reality. I turned slightly, just enough to include Josh in the circle. Josh, I said even tone. You want to tell them, or should I? Josh's face went pale. He swallowed hard. Nathan. Kira's voice finally cut through, sharp as glass. Josh, what is he talking about? Lauren snapped. This is insane. Nathan's being controlling again. See? This is what I deal with. I nodded slowly, almost amused. There it is. Right on schedule. I pulled the manila envelope from my jacket pocket. I didn't wave it around like a trophy. I simply held it. This is clinic paperwork, I said. My name is listed as the father. And there's audio of Lauren and Josh discussing it in a hospital parking lot. A woman near the patio whispered, Audio. Lauren's eyes flared with panic. You're spying on me. I raised an eyebrow. You use my name as a shield. You don't get to complain about facts. Kira stepped forward, voice shaking. Josh, is this true? Josh looked at Lauren like she was supposed to save him. Lauren looked at me like I'd stolen her steering wheel. I kept it simple. Kira, I'm not here to punish anyone. I'm here to remove myself from a lie. Lauren hissed, You're ruining everything. I gave her a calm smile. You built everything on my name. That's on you. Then I said the final line I'd been rehearsing in my head since the clinic. I'm not signing my life to a story you wrote without me. I turned and walked out. No shouting. No theatrics. Just an adult leaving a room where he no longer belonged. Behind me, I heard Kira's voice rise, raw and angry. I heard someone call Lauren's name. I heard Josh stammer. None of it was my problem anymore. That night, I didn't go home. I went to a quiet hotel on the edge of town, checked in under my own name, and slept like a man who finally stopped negotiating with disrespect. In the following week, I moved with the same calm speed I use when a student spills acid near a lab table. You don't scream. You contain it. I arranged separate living space. I redirected my pay. I packed what mattered. I kept everything documented. I kept my voice level every time Lauren called. Her tone cycled through emotions like a faulty traffic light. You blindsided me. You humiliated me. You never loved me. You're so cold. Can we just talk? I miss you. You're a monster. I didn't argue. I answered once the same way each time. I'm not available for manipulation. Communicate through the proper channel. She hated that because it meant she couldn't steer me with moods anymore. A month later, I was in a rental townhouse not far from my school. Clean place. Quiet. No tension in the air. I bought a decent used truck, started lifting again, reconnected with two friends I neglected while trying to keep a marriage afloat. My colleague, Denise, older, blunt, the kind of woman who tells you the truth without sugar, looked at me in the teacher's lounge and said, You look 10 pounds lighter. I smirked, dropped dead weight. She nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Not long after, I met someone new. Not a whirlwind. Not a rescue mission. Just a steady woman who didn't treat respect like a bargaining chip. We took things slow, like adults. As for Lauren, from what I heard, because news travels in suburbs, her perfect picture didn't survive the backyard announcement. Kira stopped inviting her to anything. Josh's home turned into a war zone. Lauren ended up in a smaller apartment. No more polished social circle. No more smooth storyline. The last message Lauren sent me was short. You didn't have to do it like that. I stared at it for a second, then typed back the only honest answer. You didn't have to do any of it. And that was the end. Here's what I learned. And it's not complicated, but it's easy to ignore when you're trying to be a good husband. First, when someone starts labeling normal concern as control, pay attention. That's not a communication issue. That's groundwork. Lauren didn't just get moody. She started building a frame where I was the problem, so any question I asked could be dismissed as me being too much. If I had argued feelings for weeks, I would have been trapped inside her narrative. I stepped back instead. Distance isn't punishment. It's information. Second, don't beg for honesty. require it. My biggest temptation was to chase clarity with more conversations. More, help me understand. That would have been the wrong move. I acted. I verified. I got facts. I protected myself quietly. If you're dealing with someone who's hiding a plan, endless talks just give them time to adjust the plan. Third, public pressure is a weapon. That backyard toast wasn't a cute moment. It was a trap designed to force my agreement in front of witnesses. If I'd smiled and played along to keep the peace, I would have signed my reputation away with a nod. The correct response wasn't a blow-up. It was calm truth delivered once with a clean exit. What would have been a mistake? Trying to win her back. Trying to keep things private at the cost of my own name. Trying to be the nice guy in a story where I was being used as a cover. Respect is the baseline, not the reward. The moment it's gone, you don't negotiate it back with more effort. You change the terms or you walk. Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you.